Welcome to Horror Year, where every story is a journey into the unknown. If you're brave enough to face your darkest fears and uncover the most chilling tales, you've come to the right place. So, dim the lights, turn up the volume, and subscribe to Horror Year. Your journey into terror begins now. I'll explain what happened to me. You determine whether it appeared paranormal. I experienced this. We rented a duplex house where we lived the previous summer. My parents' room was on the ground floor, and mine was on the first. I often stay up late reading books, up until 3 or 4 in the morning. I used to always hear the sound of anklets, gungru, when we had recently relocated. It sounded like someone was strolling about the compound. But because the house had been unoccupied for more least 6 months before we moved in, I frequently ignored it, supposing that a stray dog or cow, which were common in the area, had entered the enclosure. During the summer, my room would often get too hot for me to sleep in, whereas my parents' room was always cool and had the coziest bed. My mother recommended that since we were the only two in the large house that night, I spend the night with her while my father was away on business. I nodded in agreement. As opposed to mine, my mom doesn't have any lights on in that room because it receives some light from the nearby street lamps. Thus, until the eyes adjust, it is pitch black. Body soreness woke me up when I went to bed early. It stemmed from a dream I had. The dream was incredibly bizarre, bordering on lucidity. I was standing elsewhere, observing the events, not inside the dream. I saw someone being killed and then buried by the populace. When I woke up, I was excessively perspiring and had gripped my hand so tightly that my fingers were burning. I kept my phone under the bed, so as soon as I woke up, I thought I would check the clock. My mother slept on her right side and I on my left. When I checked my phone, I saw that it was 4:03 a.m. I turned, thinking about going to the other side. My mother was facing the other way when I glanced at her, so I considered peering out the window to see where the light was coming from. There, 2 dark shapes caught my attention. I could tell they were girls. Inside our own room, not outside the house. One was kneeling and staring directly at my mother while the other stood behind her. I've read and watched a lot of paranormal content, so at first I reasoned that since I was woken up by a nightmare, it might have been an after effect. I dabbed at my eyes, but they remained open, and then the person in the standing turned to face me. I cracked up. I asked my mother to wake up by tapping on her shoulder. I turned to face the shadows when she did, but they were nowhere to be seen. I went back to sleep after making up some ridiculous reason to my mom for waking her up. My dad returned the following day, so I was told to go back to my room. The sound of kids playing awakened me once more in the middle of the night. I assumed the noise was coming from my neighbors because they had so many visitors. I routinely checked the time on my phone, and this time it was precisely 4:03 a.m. Abruptly, I heard footsteps approaching the staircase. I refrained from breathing. Since my community is watched by police at night, it could not have been a robber or an intruder when my parents were sound asleep in their room downstairs. I fell back asleep again. The following night, at precisely 4:03 a.m., I heard someone thumping, not knocking, on my door. Sickened, I let out a loud, "Mom." We'd both shut the doors, and my mom always had the fan set to 5, so there was no way she would be here. As my state of thumping worsened, I contacted my father and requested that he come to my room, which he duly did. I could definitely hear it, even though no one was at the doors. For some strange reason, it was strange. For 3 nights in a row, at precisely 4:03 in the morning, I felt something strange. We were moved to a different residence a month after this occurrence. Thus, my mother and I find this incident to be absolutely terrifying. That would be in May or June of 2019. My father was working on business when he was away from the station. There were only my mother, myself, and my 6-year-old sister at home. I was in the kitchen with my mom chatting away as she prepared dinner, somewhere in the evening. Allow me to show you our kitchen. The kitchen was to the left, while the bathroom was to the right. You can observe who uses the restroom if you stand in the kitchen. While I stood resting against the kitchen stand, my mother faced the wall, and I turned to face her. My little sister then sprinted into the bathroom and shut the door. We disregarded it, though, supposing her to be hurried. After 25 minutes, I asked my mother, "What's taking her so long? Why is she not attending?" My mom told me to go take a look. I looked in the restroom, and to my amazement, nobody was there. Not even a light was on. When I told my mother, she told me it wasn't feasible. "Ask your sister, please. She was sound asleep in her room when I went in." I was very terrified and shocked. When I told my mother, she was disturbed too by the visitor. We asked my sister if she had come to use the restroom when she woke up. She responded, "Why would she use the common bathroom if she has her own bathroom in her room?" It continues to haunt us. And that brings us to the end of today's delightful story. I really hope it had you on the edge of your seat. If you liked this story, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It means a lot to me. And if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. There's always an exciting surprise waiting just around the corner, and you won't want to miss it. Do you have a spooky story to share or a fun idea for our next tale? Feel free to share in the comments below. I'm really curious to know what gives you the creeps the most. And as always, take care, keep exploring. And remember, sometimes the most chilling tales are the ones left untold. Catch you in the next one, if you're up for it.